table, Gregg Renfrew. Thank you so much. A serial entrepreneur and also CEO of Beautycounter, which we'll get to that in just a moment. I'm fascinated by women who make it, who roll their shirt sleeves up and get in the trenches and make it. You started at a young age out of Nantucket, working hard. What did you do?
Well, when I was in Nantucket, I was hoping to go abroad for a semester and needed to earn some extra money. And so I started a cleaning company with a couple of friends, cold calling all the real estate brokers on the island and starting a cleaning service that was probably one of the most lucrative things I've done.
Tell me about that. How did you have the guts to start doing that? And how did you know how to do that in the first place? And you're how old? 20? 22?
Now or then. Then I was about 19 or 20.
Okay.
I think it was one of those things. I've always been determined to be successful. My parents gave me a lot of, felt that I could do whatever I wanted to be successful. And I don't know, I was never scared of the ask.
So you made more money on the island than you ever thought you'd make, correct?
Correct.
Then what happens? What's the next business that happens?
So then I graduated from college and I went to work for Xerox Corporation because I knew that they had at the time the best sales training program and I really wanted to learn how to sell. And that was the beginning of a career that has taken me pretty far. After that, started my own company selling wedding gifts online.
Which you sold to Martha Stewart. So let's discuss this too, because I look at small business, female entrepreneurs, and they have to figure out a business model to make something. Does that really come easy to you, a business model, when you see something?
I think that what comes easy to me is the ability to see the possibility of what a business model can become. I think when I started the wedding list and prior to selling it to Martha, I knew that there was going to be a point in time when people wanted to buy wedding gifts online. And so I think have been forward thinking and scrappy and resourceful. But I do think that I've always been able to take an existing industry and see where it could go.
Now, the wedding list, before it was the wedding list, it was something else. So tell me how you grew that business. It had to do with bridesmaids' dresses.
So it started, on the side while I was working for Xerox and subsequently went on to work in Hong Kong in the financial markets for a very brief moment. I started selling wedding dresses because or bridesmaids dresses because I was going to all these weddings and really hated what I had to wear. And so started that business on the side and brought it to London. And
how do you just bring something to London?
Well, I was trying. In my day job, I had been transferred to London to work in sales for a financial brokerage firm, and wanted to continue selling my bridesmaids dresses. And cold called this woman who had a little wedding registry shop called The Wedding List, and told her that I wanted to sell bridesmaids dresses through her. That didn't pan out because in England they don't really use bridesmaids, but it was the beginning of a relationship. And fast forward a few years, I continued to think about her concept of wedding registry and asked her if I could bring it to the States and incorporate the internet. And so that's exactly what we did.
And how does it get to Martha Stewart at some point? Does she find you?
She did find us. That doesn't happen all the time, but many people in the New York area and beyond had become intrigued with our concept. One of her representatives who ran her weddings magazine was really interested in our business model. They had this incredible network of women who were reading their weddings magazine and getting content, but they were trying to figure out a way to monetize it, and they stumbled upon the wedding list and kind of fell in love with it.
You seem to me to be moving very fast from the time you were 19 years old all the way to Beautycounter, which we're going to get to in just one moment. Do you get bored really fast?
It depends. No, I don't think I get bored very quickly, although I really get excited when I see something that really didn't exist before and I can see it start to take off. I love when all of a sudden I'm somewhere and people start to recognize the name of a product or a company. So I think that it's not necessarily about getting bored quickly. It's more about being excited about that high growth rate.
Beautycounter, we have a lot of cosmetics sitting in front of us. How do you get to Beautycounter? How do you name the name? How does this come about? And what are your plans for this particular company?
So back in 2006, I became impassioned with the environmental health movement. I learned that we were being exposed to harmful ingredients and toxic chemicals through our personal care and cosmetics products. This has an obsessive quality to me, so I started doing as much research as I could to figure out what was in our products, and was really searching for solutions for myself and my family, and wasn't really able to find what I wanted. I was able to find products that were high performance, but were still filled with ingredients that I knew could or were or are harmful to health. I also, on the other end of the spectrum, was looking at healthier eco types of brands, but they weren't necessarily meeting my performance requirements or the aesthetic I was looking for. And so I just decided to start a company that was really a movement towards better beauty. And we named the company Beautycounter because we wanted something that was intentionally American. We wanted something that it was the intended double entendre of going counter to what the beauty industry had ever done. And I wanted something that women could relate to, but it was really about what the Beautycounter was going to become. It was the next generation.
And how big a sales force or people do you have working in states all over the country?
So we launched in March of 2013, so we're just 2 years out of the gate, although I've been working on this for years prior. And we now have about 60 people working in our corporate offices in Santa Monica and about 9,500 women selling our products across this country, representing us in all 50 states.
For somebody who would love to be sitting where you are and being a serial entrepreneur, how do you move that fast? How do you get people to follow what you want to do? How do you set up these corporations? How do you go grab money? And is it hard to do as a female and easier as a guy?
You know, that's a good question. I mean, I think in terms of if you have that entrepreneurial spirit in you and you want to be successful, I think that you need to be extremely, extremely passionate about what it is that you are doing, because people follow you because they believe in you and your vision and your commitment to that vision. In terms of being a woman, you know, this time around, it's been a lot easier for me because I knew the ropes better. The first time around when I was raising capital for the wedding list, it was much more challenging. I think that the world has shifted somewhat in terms of the old boys network of venture capital and private equity. But I think at the end of the day, it's your confidence in what you have to sell and realizing that they need you as much as you need them. They need great entrepreneurs, they need great ideas, and so having that confidence whether you're a woman or man.
How do you get up the nerve to figure out, gee, I'm going to go to Nordstrom and they're going to give me $1 million for what I want to do? How do you even start to do that? Do you gather a team that's even much smarter than you are that can go in and ask for the kind of money that you need?
I think that in terms of asking for the money, I think that I went to Xerox, remember? So my first job, you know, was in sales, and I think I've learned how to listen and understand what people are looking for. And I think that I've always done my homework prior to asking for an order or asking for a commitment of capital. I really know my stuff before I go into that. That said, people invest in people, and they certainly invest in teams. And I've always been, you know, cognizant of my strengths and weaknesses, and put people around me that are expert in their respective areas and fields, so that I do have a really compelling team.
As people listen to this, biggest mistake you made that you won't make again?
Do we have an hour?
Because it's hard. You have to take risks. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to make mistakes in order to get to the next level, right?
Yes. I think I've made a couple mistakes. I think one is not having the confidence when you start a business, enough confidence to realize that people are important to your proposition, but no one is invaluable. And so making sure that you put the right people around you and not feeling nervous that you need to have lots of people around you. I think choosing your investors wisely is a critical to your success. Getting in bed with the right people so that they will see that they're not only entrepreneur friendly, but they see your vision and want you to realize it. If you're at odds with your investors, it can make for a very difficult outcome. And I always say to people, really try not to hire your friends, because I think that always puts you in a difficult situation.
Do you think women do that too much?
Do women do that too much? I think women often lack the confidence that they inside they think they might be able to do it, but to be able to vocalize that and say to the world, I can build $1 billion business, or I can change an industry, I think they find strength in numbers. And I'm here to say that it does take a village, and there is strength in numbers, but having the confidence to do it on your own is equally important.
How far are you going to take Beautycounter? Because I see you, I mean, maybe you're going to sell this too and move on to another company. But do you have plans to stay with this for the next 5-10 years?
So I'm already 5 years into this. I started working on this almost 5 years ago. We, created all of our products from scratch. There was no one out there that was meeting the performance and safety requirements that we demanded for ourselves. And so this has been, a long time in the making, and I am wholeheartedly committed. We at Beautycounter are committed to affecting change all the way to Washington. We're already doing it. So this movement has barely begun. And so it's not just about building a business that's financially successful. We want that for sure, but we're also really really trying to shift an industry to a better place so that people have safer and high-performing products.
How many people have asked you, are you going to run for politics?
Not recently.
You
A
live-
long
you-
time ago, if you please
You
ask
live
me
in
that.
Los Angeles now. You have
do.
3 young kids. That has changed you, I'm sure, as a businesswoman in many ways. How did it change you?
I think that I became extremely efficient with my time. I think that I don't spend a lot of time at the office just, you know, walking around and chatting. When I had the wedding list and I was single, it was, you know, I could stay there all night, just talking and enjoying that. Now I try to be really efficient. I try to focus on, having shorter meetings, trying to get things done quickly. It's hard as a woman to balance. I'm sure you understand that, having 3 small children and a husband, trying to keep, you're juggling a lot of balls.
Some days they're not so great.
No,
And you
that's
just
true.
have to say that, well, I failed today. You know, you don't do everything perfectly. Best piece of advice you would give somebody who is so passionate about something, you know, a widget that they want to get on the market. What's the best piece of advice you'd give somebody?
I think that first and foremost, go for it and don't look back. I think that too few people, especially women, too few people go for it. They actually find all the reasons. People tell you that you can't do it. So many people told me I could never do this with Beautycounter. They told me it was impossible.
They did. They said
all the time. And
why?
I think,
I mean, what did they say?
no one could possibly create high-performing products that were safer. No one cares about safer ingredients. No one's going to put money behind this. You've never been in the beauty industry, Greg. How can you do this? But at the end of the day, passion and perseverance, it will take you very far. So I think one piece of advice would be to go for it and really give it your best shot. I think to be very keenly aware of your strengths and weaknesses and surround yourself with people who are equally smarter or smarter than you are, who can really help you take the distance, take your business over the finish line. I think is really important.
And that, in a nutshell, is a serial entrepreneur. So, Gregg Renfrew, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Made trivial pursuits when one this in. Who's this girl I spend all night kissing? And if was right here, then who else is missing? Got a little sidetracked to find myself wishing I could find the keys to the door, but it's also a metaphor. Need to keep locked in the grocery store of my mind, just to save time. Skip right ahead to the last ride. The harder we look, the less we can see. Don't you know, you know that you need me.